Hello everyone, I'm back with the next lecture. In the last lecture, I gave you an intuitive idea of how the definition of GCD will go for us. Of course, we have studied this already in the first year class, but now let's look at the definition of a GCD. So we start with two non-zero integers, I'd rather put it this way, let a and b be two integers. Let a and b be two integers, not both 0. I'll come back to this not both 0 thing, but right now let's take a and b to be two integers. A positive integer d will be called as GCD of a and b if d is a common divisor of a and b. That means firstly, if it is going to be GCD, it should be firstly a common divisor. So it should be a divisor of A and divisor of B. And remember, greatest in what sense? I gave you that example of 24 and 36, where if you take any other common divisor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, they all happen to divide 12, where 12 is the greatest common divisor. So in exactly the same manner, if C is any common divisor of A and B, then this should be the relationship between C and T. So if C is any common divisor of A and B, C should divide D. So in that sense, D will be greater than every other common divisor, and then we will say that D is GCD of A and B, and this is the notation that we use for GCD of two integers. So this is the definition that you have studied in the first year algebra class. Now let's take a look at what I mean by not both 0. Please note that there is a difference between both not 0 and not both 0. When I say both not 0, I mean A and B A should be not 0, B should not be 0. But when I say not both 0, I mean simultaneously I don't allow the two to be 0 together. So it is perfectly okay if one of them is 0, but the other one then should be non-zero. So let us think what would happen if one integer is 0 and the other one is non-zero. So I'll give you an example. Let's take one integer to be 0, one integer to be 6, and it will be a good exercise for you to try and find out what is the GCD. A simple method would be, remember the technique that I used to explain what is GCD of 24 and 36 in the earlier lecture. See if you can use the same technique to predict what should be the GCD of 0 and 6. So it will be a very good idea at this stage to pause your video and try and work out the GCD of 0 and 6. And once you are done, you can get back and check your answer. Okay. So I'm hoping you have given it a try and you have come up with some answer. Let's see what kind of an answer you have got. First look at the positive divisors of 6. Positive divisors of 6 are 1, 2, 3 and 6 of course. Now every integer divides 0. So what would be the common divisors of 0 and 6? If they also have to divide 6, obviously this is going to be the set of all common divisors of 0 and 6. 1, 2, 3 and 6. So you will notice that out of these common divisors, 6 is the greatest. Of course, every other common divisor divides 6. So GCD of 0 and 6 is equal to 6. Is that the answer that you got? Okay. So let us now, you can also try out this problem. I'll give you some time to think about it. And in this example, the difference is, I'm only telling you that A is not equal to 0. I'm not insisting that A has to be positive. Remember that. By this definition, our GCD has to be positive. So keeping that in mind, try and figure out what would be the GCD of 0 and A? Of course, if A is positive, it will be A. What you really need to think about is what would happen if A is negative. So pause, give it a thought. Okay, so in case you worked it out, because I want the GCD to be positive, it should be modulus of A, provided A is not equal to 0. You can also try and figure out what would happen if both are 0 simultaneously and why GCD is not defined when both of them happen to be 0 simultaneously. So just try and work out what could be the GCD if it exists. But then it does not. When both A and B are 0 simultaneously, GCD is not defined. Next question we would like to ask is, given a pair of integers, not both 0, how do I know that they will have a GCD, and how many possible GCDs can they have? So both these questions are answered by the GCD theorem. Just like the division algorithm, GCD theorem is also something that you have studied in the first year class. So I will give you just the statement over here. Remember the two questions that we are asking. For any two integers A and B, not both 0, first question is whether the GCD exists and how many possible GCDs can be there for A and B. So as I said, the GCD theorem actually answers both questions. It not only answers both questions, it actually gives us something more. So let's look at the GCD theorem. Given any two integers A and B, not both 0, there exists a unique positive integer, say D, such that, by the way, this notation that I use for is such that, and this is there exists. So there exists a positive integer D such that D is the GCD of A and B, and moreover D can be written as M times A plus N times B for some integers M and N. So GCD theorem says that if I take any two integers A and B, not both 0, then it guarantees that there will be a GCD for A and B. Not only it guarantees the existence of the GCD, it also guarantees the uniqueness of the GCD. Of course, uniqueness provided I take the definition as a positive integer. We'll see a more general definition when we study ring theory in the next semester. But right now, if I take this as my definition, then GCD is going to be unique, and so it has answered the existence as well as the uniqueness part of the question. But it also says that I can express the GCD as some integer times the first number plus some integer times the second number. So this is GCD theorem for us. And also recall Euclid's lemma. I had mentioned that in Euclid's lemma, the fact that P is a prime is very important. If P is not a prime, perhaps the result will not work. But I had said that, however, if there is an extra condition there, then the result will definitely work. So it's now time to look at that extra result that I am talking about. But before that, let me just give you one more definition. If the GCD of two integers is 1, then these two integers are said to be relatively prime or co-prime. So if the GCD of two integers is equal to 1, then the two integers are said to be relatively prime or co-prime. There are actually quite a few results of GCD as well as relatively prime integers. You could just open up your FI textbook or notes, whatever that you have for reference, and look up those properties. There are some good properties over there which will also be very useful to us. But one very important property that I would like to state over here is connected to Euclid's lemma, and that is, suppose A, B, C are integers such that A divides BC. So now remember, I am not saying that A is a prime. So there is no reason for Euclid's lemma to work in general. So if A, B, C are integers, A divides BC, but I have this extra condition that A and B are relatively prime, then I can prove that A will definitely divide C. So if I have this extra condition that A and B are relatively prime, then even if A itself is not a prime, the result will work and it will follow that A divides C. So we have these properties of relatively prime integers, connected to the GCD, and as I mentioned, you can look up the remaining properties of the GCD. In our next lecture, we will look at yet another concept which is going to prove to be very significant to us. Namely, we will define congruence modulo n, and we will also see a few properties that are going to be relevant to us. Thank you.